Hey everybody, my name is Max Farrow, and this is Dex Trader, and this is the Dex Trader Insider Series. I know it's kind of a new webinar sound to it, right? And we're coming up with some new webinars for new tactics that are going to be happening every day of the week except for Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's going to be a new type of webinar, and you'll get some emails and some new things that are coming from us that you should be pretty happy about. I'm joined with um, one of our partners, Mike Ficca. How you doing, buddy?
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
So, Mike, you've been, it's been a pretty tough summer. You're a DJ during the summertime, right?
Yes.
And you've been with us now for some time now, over just about a year coming up here. So,
A little over a year. Yep.
yeah. So, and you knew from the beginning when you first met with us that dailies weren't for you, right?
No. I tried. I tried.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And just like 5-minute trades aren't really for me, Mike
Right.
really doesn't get into a lot of the dailies. And I guess why? Because they're a little boring and all that stuff. I guess your grandfather's trade or something, whatever you want to call it. But it is what it is. All right, before we get started, risk disclaimer, right? I'm going to show you some stuff that we've made tonight. I'm going to show you some things that we're going to do. It's all about the money. But you have to know that, of course, we want to keep this about education. So you can't hold me to, well, Max, you made $300 yesterday. Why can't I make $300? I need you to know that. And also that this is really about helping you learn how to trade and learn how to trade with the processes on Nadex. So all results may vary. Did I do the right one? Okay, I did. All right. Today's topic, what we're going to talk about in the Insider Series for Dex Trader tonight, Mike, I want to talk about the daily and trading the dailies. As you know, I started the dailies as the very first signal that came across from dexsignals.com way back in the day. And we're going to explain what this is and how it works, and just about everything about the daily is going to be in this webinar tonight. So if you're already a member, or if you're in the chat room, if you're already a member, if you're not a member yet, sit back and relax, because you're going to get a firsthand look at exactly what the dailies are. We get some people that come to the network and try the dailies and they feel like they get lost. They don't know, what direction to go. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make that consistency goal you're looking for. Not the money goal, but the consistency goal, right, Mike? About consistency?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to say right now that this new way of what you're doing has completely changed my attitude towards trading the dailies.
You want to know something, Glenn? It's not a new way. It's not a new way. It's the
No,
same
I know
way
that.
I've been
I know
trading
that.
the whole time. And I get that from a couple of people that have been watching the videos lately. They're like, man, I didn't know you traded it in that way. It's all in the training. And that's the funny part about it, is that sometimes when we start new projects or new things, like as traders go, you've all been there before, the guys in the room, everybody in that room, even I and Mike and everybody else, we all get to a place and we see things at face value. We may not dig all the way into every little detail of the process. Some people hear signals and they think, well, you're going to give me a number and I'm just going to go get it. And you give me 5 numbers, I'm going to go get all 5, right? So there's this overabundance of information, and you sometimes get lost. So that's why we hold these webinars, to help people recognize. Now, I, unfortunately, over the summer as well, didn't really take a hiatus. I didn't trade a lot of the dailies and didn't trade live with the dailies. I was trading Forex. I was building bots. We were handling some very nasty people overseas. There was a lot of stuff that was happening in our lives. And when I came back to going back into my old regimen of just trading the dailies, I started to notice that and hear from people as I was talking to other daily traders that they weren't doing some of the natural born things that we had created. So we'll get in that here in a second. Okay. So this is really about trading the daily signals with Dex Trader. And we're using Nadex.com, the American Derivative Exchange. And this system of how we trade is not like anything else that you've ever seen. So before you think, oh, well, it's just signals, just give me the signal and go on, you're going to be blown away by this process. The big question that I get, Mike, is, what are the daily signals? That's That's the biggest one, is because when people come in, they try to trade them without knowing what they are. Because everybody wants to jump past the training. They don't want to do the training.
Yes, that's
So
absolutely the truth.
the dailies are a process that's on Nadex. Okay, I'm going to show you. I'm going to jump over to Nadex here. This is a demo account that we're looking at right here. And under Nadex themselves, they have under Forex binaries. Right under Forex binaries, there is a statement called a daily. Right, and so I guess I could just leave it at that. That's a daily statement on the system. But our signals call these dailies 6 times a day. Why? Because there's 6 statements that can be done 6 times a day that the dailies are made available. And as you can kind of see, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., this is when the signal will come out. Not exactly at 8 a.m. Sometimes it'll come out like 8:15, 8:30, sometimes even 9 o'clock. So there's plenty of time for movement and getting into those things. So, but it goes all the way up to 11 a.m. for the expiring. Now this gets you into a 2.5 hour to 2 hour trade time. And that longer trade time gets you really to be able to see how the market's trending and how the networks are working, how the pair moves or what have you. So you get to look at a lot of other things. Now, these 6 times a day, if you've noticed, they hit every single session, don't they, Mike?
Yes, absolutely.
You have the U.S. session here, and then you have all combined, because you have a little bit of the European session, you have a little bit of the London session up to here, right? Because you have this time in here. So this is London session right here. And then you have the Asian and Aussie session right in here. So you got all 4 major sessions in here that you can trade these signals on. The dailies themselves, another question that we get is that how are they figured? What are they actually? And it's sometimes tough to do all the little components that go into making a daily. But I'm going to give it to you in very easy, non-complicated value here. It's basically a range breakout trade. And what that looks like, for some of you that don't know what a range breakout is, it's when you take a certain period of time, between 2 certain periods of time, whatever these are, 12 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it doesn't really matter what it is. And you look for those bars, and you look for the highest and the lowest times, or the lowest prices. Okay? And so once you have these 2 ranges, okay, this might be 1 to 100. This might be 1.0 or 1. 0.999, whatever, right? Maybe 90. Who knows? So I'm just putting some number in here. So this range that it is from up there to down here, once the price starts to gravitate and go to a certain area, once it starts to move downwards and it breaks this range called the breakout, okay? Once that happens, we then can call the signal. And this, in this case, would be a sell. And this sell that we would get in this process needs to have, because we're using Nadex's statement system, we don't say go at the money with this. We don't just say, okay, go grab this and just put a sell order in, because the market's been moving. Okay, it's going to be doing these numbers, and it's going to be coming back up into the process. But what we do tell you is to say to the top of the range, that's your statement price. So this would be your statement, right? I could show you on a chart here in just a second. I know this is a little confusing. But the idea is that the winning ratio of using it in this fashion is 96+%. 96+% on the average. Here, let me take you over and show you. Over here on the signals, this is the the signals portal, if you will. We do something a little bit different here at DEX. We track all of our data of all of our success of our signals. We don't fake information because we use it ourselves. I have plenty of videos out there of me trading this process. I do not want to lose. So I need as much data as possible. So I'm like that cook in the kitchen that cooks for his friends and eats the same food. I'm using the same signals as everybody else is. I'm not doing anything special. Now you can quickly see here that there's some processes in here that even have a better ratio than that. You know, the Euro Great Britain pound, 98.8. We have a way to be able to filter this information to be able to get it down to the pair, to the direction, to how many pips ratio. We also created the data processing center to help us track individual pairs and how well they do up to the day, to the week, to the month. And this data helps us make decisions throughout our trading process. Now, knowing that this is a range trade between 2 points of time, we create a high and a low. And when the market moves past either one, the high or the low, we call it for that position. Sometimes what happens is that you get a pair that here is the range, and this isn't because Nadex uses a 20 pip margin in between all their dailies. Let's look at the 11 p.m. Audi JPY. In particular, this one uses a, they went to a 25? Wow. Okay, oh, here we go. 87.20. You see? 87.40, even 60, 80, back to 0, and so forth. So sometimes what will happen, you will get a pair between the range that will, the highest range there doesn't end with a 0, 0, or a 0, or 2, 0, or 1, 0, what have you. So it might be 1.2013. And so that might be the highest level. But the next statement up from 2013 is 20. So we have to put it out because we're trying to give you an accurate statement price to take at the 220. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yes. Yeah.
So at this particular ratio, there's room to move. Sometimes the high might not even be in, it might not be within that 20 pips. It might be 2, or let me see here, 9,989, let's say, right? So it's would have to be up 1, right? So that would be the highest trade up would be 1,2000. So it might not even be that far apart. Now, once this thing starts to win, however many pips it wins from this location, or from the one that we call, if it wins by 20 pips plus, 25 pips plus normally, what have you, you can begin to see now, I don't have to go with the one that DEX calls. I can actually do some other things with it. And we're going to show you how to do that here and how to trade this process here. But once that has been done and that statement has been figured out, which one you're going to go with, the daily trade is the simplest trade system we have. Even if you trade, like I trade 3 times a day, and I trade the morning trade, the one that comes out at 8 o'clock, 8:30, right in that area. And I trade the 12 o'clock, and I trade the 4 to 7. Sometimes I'll trade the night one if I'm feeling, up to it, like right after the webinar or have you. I might go over and investigate to see if there's something. I might put something set and forget it kind of stuff. But I don't sit at my computer very long. Mike, how long do you think it takes to validate a daily signal?
I would say less than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
No
I
more.
Probably agree with you if it was something real simple. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could probably 3 to 4 minutes. And we can even time it here if we wanted to, right? But it really does come down to a very short period of time that it takes to do that. You can spend time watching it, but I don't really ever scalp out of my trades unless I'm on like an OTM or something bigger, or I made it skinny or what have you, right? If I choked up, and I don't choke up more than 20 pips. Never choke up more than 20 pips. I hear some people pushing 40 so they can get better numbers. Why? There's so many signals that come out, it's not even fun. All right, so let's talk about the different ways that we can trade these. Now, because it's a range trade, which we discussed, right? We have a high and we have a low. We can place a working order on one of the pairs. And I'll show you what I mean by that. You know, most of you should know what a working order is if you're watching this or if you're in the room or what have you. But it comes back down to something very simple, just following a flow. So you can place a working order on. So if it was for a sell, you would put a working order on at the number at the range we would call. You could do a choke up by 20 pips, which you would validate the range, see if there was another statement available for that 20 pips up, or 20 pips down in this case. And there's also, I won't call it a unicorn because it happens quite frequently, another process called we can find an OTM, an out of the money possibility. We'll discuss what that is here in just a second. I started to notice, Mike, that there was usually 1 or 2 signals a day within my batch that I was dealing with that were OTM. And I never wanted to really go too far down that rabbit hole with people because I felt like OTM trades they're a little bit hard to manipulate and look at and figure out and validate and all that stuff. But now with all of our data being so precise, because there is so much more of it, and how we contain that information, it's starting to reveal the little places you can make your extra money. So the working order trade, Mike, you know what a working order is, of course.
Absolutely. Yep.
So you use working orders all the time in your 5-minute trade.
Yes.
Now, the working order trade itself is very, very simple. Let me take you over, and I'm going to go through some of these highlights, but we're basically looking for, as soon as the trade gets fired off, because you're going to have 2 or 3 that fire off, sometimes only 1, but for the most part, you're going to have 2 or 3 that fire off. And what you're immediately going to look for is the percentage number that I was showing you earlier. You're going to look for a correlation between the pairs and that there's no major news happening within a time period that they can get affected. Usually, big news right when they release, so for the 11 o'clock expiry, like between 8 and 9, if there's like 20 bulls in there, skip the signals for that period. If there's like 15, if there's like 3 or 4 bulls going to fire at like 10 o'clock to 11, you might want to skip the signals. And that only takes a second to look at, doesn't it, Mike?
Yes, it's right in the news section.
Right there, right? And you can simply look, all right, I'm trading at 8 o'clock in the morning to the 11s, and you can easily see that the 8 o'clock to 11, there wasn't a lot of news affecting the main stuff, but there was some 10 o'clock stuff that was happening. I still was able to get into a couple of trades at that time because I know that the signals are pretty robust, but I know the pair. If you're just starting out, you got to kind of figure things out. Like tonight, it's 7:50. We have some JPY news. I'm probably not going to trade. If anything does fire off, I'm probably not going to trade it. Right? All right. So let's look at a working order process. When the signal fires off, and we're just going to use these as some examples. I hope you guys can see the screen okay. You can enlarge your screen itself. So basically, when the signal fires off, I'm immediately going to come, if I have multiples, like let's look at these 1,500 trades, these signals here. And each one of these has its own success rate, 94, 95, 96, 97, 95. Immediately, the 97.3 holds itself out, right? So what I did today is that when I got here, I looked at this process and I said, okay, I like the 97. This is my first qualifier. I look at the percentage. Give me the best percentage out of the lot. And then let me drill down from there. I see the best percentage. The first thing I do is I head over to Nadex. I pull up the USD CAD. I pull up the right time period. And of course, we're not in that time period right now, but I'll pull up something. Because it's past 7 o'clock. Let's do that again. CAD. Let's do it 11 p.m. There we go. Now we have to use our imagination just a little bit right now, and you can see other videos that I have out there how I trade this process. But if I come in, if the number is like the 2160 here, and this is the number that fired off, I'm going to look up one, right? Because if I don't have a number here, I can easily just put a working order on. I would click that number, and now for my working order process, I'm looking at just creating a profit margin. On the buy side, you're going to want to use $78 or less. Okay, this is going to give you a profit, as you can see right down here, about $22. If you're putting just a working order on, this is what basically you want to use. The reason why I use this is twofold. One, I'm not greedy. I don't need $40 or $50 for a working order one to make it work, right? Good numbers at that high rate of success, at 97% success rate. If this fills, you're going to be doing okay. Okay? So I would simply just click that order and place the order just like that. And that's going to put it down here in my working order series. What we're hoping on with this process when that happens, we're hoping on two things to happen. Movement in the market and movement in the market in our direction, right? In this particular case, that signal was for a buy. And we're calling it that it's going to be above this 1.2160, whatever it was, I forget what it was now. But we want it, this is where our information is, right? Now, the market has already moved well past this. As we see, the market is up around 2177, right? And at 2177, what we're hoping for is that this market starts to travel back down some, at least within 5 to 10 pips of this 2160, because our working order would get picked up then. And if it came close enough, depending on how much you're asking for the working order, it'll get picked up. If it does get picked up, we're hoping that it'll continue on. And if it does get picked up, it has a 97.7% success rate, as we've seen in the process. And in fact, if you really want to drill down even further, you can go to the DPC, go to the daily results, go to the USD CAD, and you see that it has, for today, for the last 5 trades, 100%. Over the week, 91.3, and over the month, 93.1. Right? Now, why are there so many different ratios? Well, this particular USD CAD right here is at 97.3 over the last 100 signals for the USD CAD. So you have 3 ratios to work with. You have over the last day, several, last day, the month, the lifetime, the week, and the last 100. So there are 3 or 4 different variables that you can utilize now to know the success rates of the system. So it's just not just some random numbers we pull out of our ass. Okay, so the working order, that's what we're hoping for, that it will come back, get picked up, and they fill probably, I'd say, for me personally, if I pick the right one and I look at the process properly, and I'm looking at the market and I'm seeing that it is a trendable market in that process, they will get picked up for me, but not all the time. I'm looking at about 30 to 40%, depending on the pair. Now, we really kind of skipped a little bit of a step here too, because when I come over, before I put a working order on, like I was saying in the beginning of that little slide there, I want to see that there's a few things that are going to happen. And the big one is that there's a good percentage. So we kind of covered that. And then correlation between the pairs. And Mike, this is pretty important just about in anything, is that correlation between the pairs, that if there's a Euro USD and a Euro JP, yeah, and a Euro JPY, and the signal says sell here and buy here, is that correlation between the pairs?
No.
No, it's not. Now, sometimes the quote pair can mess it up, right? So the USD could be doing really, really good, yay, right? Which brings the EU down, right? So the signal might call for a sell. But the JPY might be doing really, really bad. And so this is usually, some divergences happening in the market, but not always. Sometimes a signal can get tricked. Now, if we already know that the daily signals are a range trade, and we set the range between two particular times, and you get a couple of bars, and it's starting to head down, and then something happens, right? You get one of these funky ass bars. All right? You get one of these. And maybe it didn't pierce the bottom. Maybe it just kind of came like that, right? And then it keeps going. Right? You get this. And sometimes this will happen with either in a news event or what have you. That top range might get picked, right? Or something else might happen. The range might go sideways. So it might be a pretty small range. Now, I have some modifiers in there to make sure that, it has to have a certain amount of movement above the range before it'll call for a signal. There has to be a certain amount of movement between the top and the bottom of the range to be able to do it. I can't have a 20-pip range in between there because it really doesn't, it could be hit either side of it very quickly. We're talking about a 2.5-hour trade here, not just some 5-minute deal. So there are some qualifiers in there. But one of the big things, I look for correlation between the trades. And if we head back over to our signals, you can kind of see that here's the USD CAD with a buy, USD CAD with a buy, a JPY with a JPY with a buy, right? You getting this? But then it gets a little weird with this one here, the Great Britain Pound USD. Now this one didn't fire off till much later. I was into the 1230 ones, so I didn't see this one till later. But if this one came out, I would have easily seen that it was the opposite direction or the same direction as the USD CAD. And I probably wouldn't have gotten into that one. As it is, I only get into 1 or 2 per session or per signal delivery at any time anyway. I'm not looking to fill 50 trades at once. Too many things could go wrong. So that's the second qualifier. I look at the percentage, and is it hitting my markers? Is it hitting correlation between the pairs? Now, if I have 3 pairs that are releasing that all have a base quote, I look at the JPY or the USD all in the same one, I'll pick the best one out of them. I won't take every single one again. So earlier, what I did is that I took the USD CAD for a buy on a working order. I then did a USD JPY. No, wait, no, that wasn't what I did working on. The USD CAD, I got there, and this is what happened. Let me switch over. Okay. I got there, and let's just say that it was a 2160, and I looked up one, and I'd seen that it hadn't reached, or it had already just started to go past the next statement up, and it had some really good numbers on it. And it was those numbers. Let me check that out here. This is the trade journal for me today. 11 a.m. There's the 11 a.m.s right there. Great Britain Pound. Oh, there it is. USD CAD. For the 3 p.m. There it is. So, oh well, it was 2160. Wow, that's coincidental. So yeah, it was 2160. But the signal was for 2140. So I was able to come in. It was all the way down here. So I came up one, seen that it was available, and got it. And when I got it at a pretty good price. That's $35. Is that right, Mike? Yeah, $34.25 profit. So $32 profit I made on one contract. So when I took this trade, and you can kind of see the time frame here. Look, I keep doing that. This is 12:59. Right, 12:59. I set the trade. At 13:01, 2 minutes later, I also took this one. So that means from this time here, from the signal fire, because I got to the signal late, you can watch the video. 3 minutes later, not even 3 minutes, sort of almost 3 minutes, I selected the USD. But I also did it, as you can kind of see here, look at this buy, $66. I got it for $33. And then about an hour later, I noticed that it had gone against us a little bit, but the ratio was so good, I had to take another one to hit that direction. And let me show you what I did when I validate that. Now, we know that the working order trade does work. The choke up trade works as well. And the choke up means that we're choking up one statement. And that statement is exactly what I just told you, is that when it came over at 2140, I looked up one and seen that I had some good money on it. Now, when I say good money, you should probably be really staying around that $22 profit margin and above. If you're going to do a choke up, if you're doing a working order, stay $22 profit margin or more. If you're choking up one, you better be $30 plus. Because you shouldn't be taking a gamble for $22 at that point for a $78 loss. You should really try to be staying $30 or more. And I'd really like to see around 30, 35, 34, 35 in that area. Why? Because if you lose, if you get it for 35, you're only losing 65. If it loses, it only takes you one more trade, 2 trades to get back, right? And then also be in profit, right? $32 would be perfect because 32 and 32 is 64. And then you'd only be a couple bucks away from that break-even side. But 35, 34 to $35 in that area would be perfect for you if you could get them, if you're doing a choke up. If you're going to do a choke up and it's only like 20 bucks, 19 bucks, don't chance it. Stay away from it. Wait for the next patch. Remember, this is about being consistent and finding that process. Being so consistent that you can then add volume to get to your goal. Now, let me take you back over to DEX and show you how easy it is to validate. What I had to do when I looked, because you see how it came out at 2140, and I wanted to come up 20 pips. So the first thing that I did is that I have to isolate the pair because there's a lot of information here. So I hit the plus sign here. I go to the asset. I hit USDC AD. Look at that. All the USDC AD, buys and sells, all right there. Right? All the last ones. And now I don't put every single one that we've ever done. We've been in business for 2.5 years now. So I don't put every single one on there. Why? Because all the information would come back to the mean. I figure on that there's usually about 20 to 30, maybe 50 results in there with that process that would be very good for you because it chunks of time. That movement, that section of where the price action is happening, it acts differently the higher it is and the lower it is in that range of market for the year. Okay, so I don't take every single piece of data we've ever had. I use it in a very sparing way, so you get to see chunks of the time that it is most operating at these levels. If I showed you how it acted a year and a half ago when Obama was in office compared to who's in office now, compared to what was happening at that particular time, it doesn't really make a difference. This is how the economy works in these short periods of times, these big chunks, right? So I've isolated the pair. I now want to isolate the direction. Because I was on a buy, I just did that. Now immediately I saw some red flags, but only one, and that was the loss. But for 131 pips. Now I knew that this was something that was news related, so I didn't really discount it. But if I seen one that was positive 131, I'd also kind of look wearingly at it, right? It's 2 things that I do. First thing that I come in is I see that loss is there, but also that the majority of them are 20 pips and more. This one doesn't really count. This is a misfire in data return to close the trade out, so I got to get that fixed. But look at this. More than 20 pips, more than 20 pips, more than 20 pips, not more than 20 pips. That's the only one out of all of these that did that except for the loss. The loss would have been less than 20 pips, of course. So 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 11. That's about an 80%, a little bit more than 80%, 85% success rate. That if I take this, that's pretty damn good. Especially since I'm buying the contracts for 30-something bucks or more. The numbers work out for me. Now doing it in this fashion gets you up one statement price gets you into that $30, $35 margin, you begin to now start to consistently be able to set that every single daily that comes out, you can start going down that list. And it becomes that easy. Set this trade. I go over to the DEX. Unfortunately, we have a ton, I won't say a bug, but you have to reload the page to clear the data of the filter panel. Clear sorting works for the top branch there, and I'm trying to make something in there, but it was part of our security package that we had to just have it reload and not hit that button there because it was a security issue. So hit the plus button, because what I'd seen next was the USD JPY out of the other 3 JPYs that were there that had the best success rate out of the JPYs. So I gravitated to it. I did the same thing. Went to Nadex. I pulled up the USD JPY. I looked at the number that was given. It was 109.80. It was 109, so it was all the way up here at that time. And then I looked up one, right? Because I'm looking, if I don't see money on it when it's here, I move up one. And when I moved up one, it had already gone past the next level up, the 110 mark, but only by a handful of pips, by 2 or 3 pips. So this price action that was in there was pretty powerful. It was $66. I was like, sold. $35 profit margin? Hell yeah. Take it. But again, I validated the information before doing it by going to DEX, hitting the button, USD JPY, on the buy, isolated the buy side. Here we go. Had 1, 2, 3 against it, but again, there's many that are on there, another 80% opportunity. Now this one here got a little funky for a minute, right? USD JPY was in a buy pattern and dropped like a stone. There was some stuff that then came out, kind of made some boo-boos. And then it started to rally again. But because it hadn't lost by a crazy amount before, I knew that I'd just keep it and keep on with it. But as soon as it did that, I decided that to take one more risk. Now, I'm not telling you to do this. This is an advanced way of trading, is that you got to be prepared to really overshoot the data. Look at the data again and absolutely make sure that it's something of that value, that you see the value there. I can't tell you to go and take that extra one on there, but what I did is that once it was sort of falling back down towards the number again, it got to a really good number of $59 for a $41 profit, and I bought for $59 risk. Now remember, I'm only doing one contract, and this was all demo. I ain't going to bullshit it. This isn't real money. The only reason I'm not trading demo when I first come back is because I'm doing a lot of things to get back into doing videos again. Starting on Sunday or starting on Monday, you'll see all the videos of me trading live, and all my numbers will be live again. Even I have to reset. Smart, right, Mike?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you always told me that if I'm away from anything or you're trying something new, demo, and that's one thing that's always stuck in my mind.
Well, absolutely. If you disappear for more than a breath from this industry, shit changes. The different way that USD acts from now to what it did just 20 months ago, 10 months ago, is completely night and day. So if you take a hiatus, if you take a vacation, or you disappear for a week, trade for demo for like 5 or 6 days, or just 2 or 3 days. Get the feel, or jump over and do some 5-minute trades to get back in on how to deal with Nadex. Make sure Nadex didn't shift stuff around. You know, so for a 2-day period, $289, 8 wins, or 7 wins, 1 loss, and the loss really $31. Not even a full loss, not even like a really $80 loss. And this wasn't even a scalp out. This was an OTM trade that didn't fill. So do all the OTM trades fill? No. But when they fill, they do this. When they fill, they do this. When they lose, they do that. So I see a pretty good ratio there, don't you? All right. So we've kind of hit this on the head. We have now gone over the choke up trade and how to get to that $20. Now let me show you, or that little bit more money of staying at $30 and above. Now let me show you the OTM, and this is the good side, right? This is you are here to first look and try to put on a working order, right? That's your job. That's your job. And then every once in a while, you know, I'd say during it, if you can't find the working order and the choke up doesn't have, put the working order, but you're here to look to see if the working order is there. If there's money on that one, on the working order, just get it. Like I did that today, right? If you get there and there's money on the working order of like 20 something bucks or more, whatever it is, above $22, take that shit immediately and then go away. Don't even look at it. Don't even look at it. But only do it on one. You're not going to be doing it on all 7 pairs if 7 pairs come out. Remember, do your due diligence. Validate, correlate, see that it's, you know, it's all in the right direction, get the best percentage, and go with that. Don't go after every single one. This isn't about you getting 50 trades going. This is about you finding 1 or 2 that are perfect every session and nailing it. You get there and a working order is on, set it. Take it. Don't even do anything else. Now, if you put a working order on and it fills, or if you put the working order on, if you got the money on, don't even worry about putting the money, working order on. You take the market value. If you set that market value, don't do the choke up. Don't play that game. Don't put yourself into that mess. Let's get back to the OTM. So you validated, you get there, and as soon as you get to this, as soon as you get to Nadex, something happens. You get the Nadex and you're on, let's just say it's this 110.20, right, on the USD/JPY. And you're looking at 110.20, you're like, holy crap, I'm on the it's the 110.20, right? And that's good numbers there, right? That's $69. It's $31 profit. Well, let's say it came over at 110 and you go to look upwards. Okay, that one doesn't work. That's above that. All right, so you would be that if you got 120 and there was money there, but you look up and there was an OTM, you know, of that it's between the two, right? It's not above that one, but it's above this one. Is there an opportunity? Well, this one already has really good money on it. This one would be just acting greedy. But if you had an opportunity, let's just say this one was dropping down. Like if this goes up past 30, this one would still be OTM, right? Mm-hmm. But you do have an opportunity. And you can look and validate that. This could be a whole nother way to trade it too, is that if you get there and it says 110, if the signal comes off and it's 110, either it's 95, and you look up one, that's the choke up, right? So you just have to kind of look at it and say, if you get there and that money's there for you to get your consistent money, but then there's some dream money up there, this is where you have to kind of separate yourself from your greed, that greed monster that comes in. Should you take it? But basically how it works is that if you get there and the pair has already started to move past the statement price, so the 110 is like that, right? And it's already started to move past, and then you have the 1.120 here, and it's in between that, and you're able to grab that. You should not be taking an OTM out of the money for less than $50 profit. You understand? If you're going to do an OTM, and you should not be risking more than that $50 at least, right? And sometimes I think you shouldn't be risking more than 40. So you should be getting them for like $60 profit margin. If you're not doing them for that, it's not worth it. Because you look at this, you go back and look at the DEX trader side and you look at the numbers, and the numbers look great. 20 pips or more? Oh yeah, $60. 80% success, $60 profit. Yeah. $40 risk, $30 risk. I mean, because look at my OTM here. This is $31 risk for $69 profit all day long.
Absolutely.
$43 risk for $57 profit. $39 risk for $61 profit. Yeah, all day long. When the chance of it going up just that one pair, absolutely. So that's what it really comes back down to. And I did a chain earlier where we got the Euro Great Britain pound kind of came on, and I got it for, of course, $31 profit margin because it was in a very good price. But I also had placed a working order on, and it filled. You see $22. Anytime you see $22, that's a working order. And it got picked up. So my chain won. This wasn't an OTM, but this was a choke up. And then my working order won. Oh wait, no, sorry. I did the choke up, and then my working order filled. So my choke up didn't win. But
look at the loss. It's only 1150. Right. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, sorry. This is not the choke up. Yeah, this is a choke up yet. But there's only, yeah, the total loss for this process was only $11.50. So if you're going to take the risk, make sure that you're not going to be left hanging and holding the bag the whole time. You're going to take the risk if you're going to do the work behind it. Make sure it's going to be worth it for you. Because what does this really turn into, Mike? If this is the consistent value of every day, a couple $100 with one contract, adding two contracts, 500 and something bucks. 3, 4, 5, 10 contracts, $2,800 for a day's work. How much money would you need to have in your Nadex account to make all that work is really up to you. But really, if you're going to be risking 10 contracts with these kind of numbers, your average risk is about your average risk is about $60 per contract. It's about $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, you're fighting a good fight here, right? You're trying to go after $30 contracts. You're winning $20 and $32, and sometimes hitting OTMs. Holy crap! The money's here, and this is just in dailies. Don't get me started about any intradays. This is why I always trade dailies. That's why I used to always trade dailies. This is why the process of me doing this can make me $6,000 to $8,000 a month, even if I just did this every day. Because what's that times 20? Doesn't take much, does it? How many trades is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 trades, 8 trades. From 8:30 in the morning on September 11th to today, to 3 o'clock. Probably total time of about an hour and a half, maybe 3 hours worth of trading time, sitting there watching some news, watching some other things.
About $100 an hour.
Yeah. Sorry, I just made a boo-boo. That is not $289 per day, so let's split that in half. So it would be divided by 2. This would be my monthly. This is for 2 days. 4 trades a day. So, but that's only one pair. Because it's on the 11th and the 12th. But full 24 hour. No. I don't want to split hairs.
Very nice, Tim.
Tim's 5-0 on daily this week. Absolutely love it. 5-0. Sweet. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to get on board that process and get that mentality going. One last note. Like I said before, $50 or more on the profit. Look at the news. Be weary of things that don't seem right. If it doesn't seem right, stay out. Stay off of it. Stay away. If you get there and you got pairs going one way and other pairs going another way and they're not correlating, stay off. It's okay to stay out. 4 trades a day. Consistent. Consistent. And if you get that consistency, adding the extra contract, remember, trade evenly on contracts too. Do the incremental crawl. Get yourself to a certain profit margin. Let's say you're starting with $2,000. You want to get yourself, you know, each day you're doing like, I don't know, what is it, 100 and something bucks. So get yourself to $3,000 before you put another contract on. So this is just with one contract, okay? And then wait till you get to $3,000 to put on another contract, and then maybe $3,800 to get another one. You know, come up with that number for yourself, but keep it even. You know, trade only one contract at a time on all your trades, and then shift to 2, and then 3, and then 4. Don't do 1 on one, and then 7 on another, and then 6 in this one, and then I messed up, so let me do 12. Because you know Murphy is going to come along and get you the one that you put 12 on. And don't think everything's going to be all great and dandy the first time you get here and you're like, I'm going live. Max said it's okay. No. Trade this so you get it in your sleep. Trade this for a month. I'll make you a deal. If you're going to buy into the network and you trade this for a month in demo and supply us the data that you've done so and what you've done and you've worked hard, and you need some help and maybe you need some more extra time or what, but you got it and you're about to go live or what have you, give us a call. Make some deals. Put some things together. Try to help you out as much as possible. But let me tell you, the 100 and something bucks you're going to spend here that month learning that, yeah, what's that return look like for you? You're doing that. This. And again, this is demo. I'm showing you in a demo, right? The numbers that are in here are in demo. And once we clear it with the lawyers for next week, I'm going to be showing and pushing out our live account. And that live account will have me in there trading live, and I'll be able to show you all that as well. I used to have all the other stuff in there. I could show you the live account now when I was trading with the dailies, but there was other things that I was trading in there. So I'm trying to get an account that's just for dailies so you can see your work. All right. We're getting close to the end. Mike, do you have anything to add in here for the dailies?
No, but like I said, basically, I was trading them all wrong. Then I had my own. I would trade them the last hour. Having seen these videos the last couple of days, it really opened my eyes. And you know, I'm a 5-minute guy, and I'm actually moving away and doing more NA intradays. And now I'm really thinking about doing more dailies as well, just because it's more consistent and it's just as profitable. So I mean, make sure you have this on a recording, because this is probably the first and last time I'm ever going to say that out loud.
Right. Well, I got it recorded, buddy.
Yes,
so
I know.
In a year, you'll hear Mike say, "Thank God I started doing dailies."
Yep. I admit, believe me, you're never too old to learn. You're never too old to open your mind, is basically what it is, and to something new. So trust me on that one.
It takes work to get to do the daily, and the 5-minute signal system helps you train, helps you do that stuff. We have some great things coming for a lot of people for the series and what we're developing. Tonight, if you're watching this after the fact, or if you're in the room and you're not a member, use this code 77 special. It's a special $75, $77 off your first month on the base signals only. It's not for all inclusive, because this is really about the dailies tonight. So I wanted to give you this offer, 77 bucks. Why? I don't know. Maybe because we're holding it at 7 o'clock. Who knows, right? Thanks, Amy, for coming up with that code. But 77 bucks off your first month to get in. This will get that process. It's usually 147. It's like, that's a pretty good number. Coming on 70 bucks. I'm sorry, $77 off your first month, not $77 for your first month. So, but there it is. I think if most of you that are watching this, even in the room, if you're watching this and you're not doing dailies, then practice the rituals I just showed you. Get to the Dex Trader YouTube channel and watch the Trading Live with Max videos in there of the last several days, even the ones from before. They do the same thing. Watch those trades being done. Watch the mentality behind it and the ease of use to it, and emulate that. I'm also going to start probably take some chunks of this webinar tonight and more explanations and try to drill it out to as many people as possible so you can see this. They do work. That process does work. The data, has anybody maybe in the room or anybody else ever seen a company that has data like this? No. I'm pretty sure you haven't, because I've been looking. I can't find one signal network that will ever give you data information just like this that can be verified and looked up. There's not one. If you do find one, let me know, because I'm looking for other people that are just like us, you know. So, all right. I want to thank all of you that are watching this after the fact for getting to this point of the video. Mike, thanks a lot for hanging out with us. Everybody in the room, thanks a lot for being here. If you have any questions, we're going to do quick questions and answers afterwards if you have anything. But for Mike, stick around, buddy. Everybody else, stick around. Thanks again, bud.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you soon. I'm Max Farrell. This is DexTrader.com. And as always, trade well.